The veterans arrived for another formal tribute at another French town they had helped to liberate. But this place would be the setting for an unexpected and delightful coincidence. A chance reunion between an American man and a French woman. The two arrived separately, little knowing what was about to happen. It is the French way to celebrate memorable events with champagne.
I am very happy to receive you, to thank you, and to say to you that we remember the sacrifice of your soldier for the liberty of France. You can be sure that we have not forgotten. We have not forgotten what you have done for us, and the town of Carentan is very happy to receive you. And we have to drink champagne. You are in France, and in France, the end of anything is champagne. Vive l'Amérique! Vive la France!
Vive la France! Vive la France!
The woman on the right, in the green scarf, recognizes someone. And at that moment, he looked across the room and recognized her.
Viel, il a embrassé an American soldier, had seen an American soldier the 6th of
2 days after D-Day in 1944, a young American soldier met a young French woman. A combat photographer took photos.
Have you understand? Have you understand?
That's the two of them. That's the two of them.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! That's the two of them. That's the two of them. Hold it up, Brad. Hold that picture up. So we can see. Is that you? Yeah.
Il est ému, hein?
And you? Hey! Wait just a minute.
Who would ever think that? Odds of that would be, I don't know. 60 years ago.
How about Fred, how about that?
Ain't that something?
She had been to many receptions honoring Americans over the years, hoping to see him. He carried the photos to France, thinking he might see her. That day in 1944, they celebrated. He'd helped liberate her town, and for decades they remembered this kiss. France and the rest of Europe are dotted with memorials, cemeteries, and museums dedicated to the Allied forces that fought and defeated the Nazis. Many display weapons used by both sides, weapons feared and revered by the veterans.
This was the best gun in the war, this German 88. When we were flying at altitude, this gun would put a burst in front of the airplane, one behind it, and the third one would blow us up. Just like at 35,000 feet.
I got wounded by this gun twice. Maybe this same gun. But this is quite a gun.
My position was right behind the platoon leader. When he ran off the boat, I was right behind him. He made a good shield. And there were a lot of landing craft like this wrecked all over the beach, and a lot of dead soldiers. There were a lot of dead soldiers laying. When this ramp went down, it almost fell on a soldier laying there, and I almost stepped on him. I noticed something odd about him, and then it dawned on me he had no head. He has a piece of bone back here, and that's all for a head. And so
It's natural to be afraid, and especially when you see friends of yours or other people killed randomly for no apparent reason. What I'm saying is, you could be running across a field and the guy beside you on either side would be hit and you would survive somehow. And you often wondered why wasn't it me instead of these two? it's either a matter of fate or luck.
I loosen up talking amongst ourselves, you know what I mean? And I don't feel so bad. But for a long time, I just couldn't take it, couldn't do it. I just wanted to be left alone.
As the tour progressed, the veterans opened up and told stories.
And that's when I met my pilot, my navigator, radio man. I hadn't seen him since we flew. 41 years. Yeah, 41 years I hadn't seen him.
Younger generations listened.
Because the bridge went over to La Bourguette, but I can't understand why the name La Bourguette's over here then, God.
Veterans from all wars often suffer so greatly during battle they stop talking once they get home.
I just didn't want a lot of publicity. You wanted to be by yourself. I wouldn't even talk about it for years. Very emotional when you're here like this, when you see something that happened so many years ago, you know, and I wouldn't trade my adventures for anything. I wouldn't. I'm still alive. I was wounded.
Paratrooper John Sullivan landed in 5 feet of water here on D-Day. Separated from his unit, young, scared, and alone, it took him hours to find other American soldiers. And then the fighting.
The 3rd week, I was wounded. We were just on the edge of St. Mary-Glise, just ready to move in there. We had a firefight at a house that was sitting just east of St. Mary-Glise, and I lost. So that's the story.
But the trauma of parachuting, being wounded, and fighting for his life endured for years.
In 1947, I lived in a farmhouse, and I got up one night, walked in my sleep, and jumped out the window 2 stories up. Landed flat on my back, and I had trouble breathing. I didn't get hurt too much, just a few cuts. And I was in depression. They gave you pills to take you out of it for a while. And then when I got married in 52, we were living in an apartment down in Grosse Pointe there. My wife woke me up one night, and I'm standing on top of my cedar chest with my hands in the window, ready to go out the window 2 stories up. She started pulling on my nightgown there, and she said, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" I said, "I gotta jump, gotta jump." And I said, "No, you don't." So she saved me. That's all I can say. Here I am. It's tough. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. Yeah.
The scars of battles on the French countryside faded long ago. The emotional scars are slow to heal.
Oh, I don't think I'm a hero. I think I'm just one of the guys that done my job. That's the way I look at it.
At Utah Beach, the wind whipped a flagpole line, echoing perhaps the sound of machine gun fire. In the distant water, rusting hulls of ships sunk during battle. Besides concrete bunkers for German guns scattered along the coast, little evidence remains that a great battle was fought here.
A lot of bodies.
Seeing the battlegrounds and talking about the fighting was an emotional roller coaster for the men, but they wanted to tell their stories to one another.
It wasn't pretty, was it?
No,
It wasn't a pretty sight.
I don't recommend war for anyone.
Most of the men did not know one another before this trip. Now, like a newly formed military unit, they were becoming friends, comrades, sharing laughs, tears, and long-suppressed stories.
No,
You done your job.
You got the
Right.
job done.
Got the job done.
Even though you had to crawl over the dead bodies, you got the job done.
And everybody was scared to death, even the battalion commander.
Well, whoever said this, are you afraid? If they're not afraid, they're lying a little bit.
Right.
I know, but so frightening, you know. You don't know because you don't know what you're coming into.
The sights and sounds of battle continues to resonate with these veterans.
I don't know, was there any more frightening than you in Bastogne in the snow and fog and cold?
No.
It's a different kind of horror.
That's all.
Many still find it difficult to express what they experienced. Later they arrived in Bastogne, a pivotal city in the Battle of the Bulge.
guys that were here to open it.
Hey! What a great day this is!
Wasn't for what you did then, we couldn't be here today.
Right.
To our comrades and freedom!
It's a lot quieter than the first time I was here. I came up that road, and we stopped the German regiment.
We held them back, but it's the tanks that came and defeated the Germans here.
With only a couple of days left in their tour, the veterans had bonded, finding common ground, sharing their stories. Like a military unit, these former soldiers became a band of brothers.